Vroom, vroom here. Let's talk about some autos. Inflation for used cars and trucks moderating. Down more than 9% from the year prior as revealed by the latest consumer price index. But the price difference between used EVs compared to used combustion engine gas vehicles is stark. According to iSeeCars.com, used EV prices dropped below used gas cars by $265, down in February. Now, that number has widened to a whopping $2,657 in May. So here to dig into the data, we've got Karl Brauer, who is the iSeeCars.com executive analyst. Karl, great to have you here. What do you think is driving this gap that we're seeing now?
We had a lot of new EVs sold in the past few years. As we know, they've really cranked up the production on these vehicles, and a lot of incentives have pushed them out there. And I think the appetite for electric vehicles is much stronger for new car buyers, clearly. And the used buyers, they're always more value focused, they're always more price sensitive, and they are not willing to pay a premium. In fact, it now looks like they consider it somewhat of a demerit to have an electric powertrain, and you have to charge less for the equivalent EV than gas car before you're going to get them to buy.
I mean, it's interesting, especially considering the number of credits that were being thrown out there for new and used EV purchases. How does that factor into the consumer mindset going to the signing table or going to make a purchase?
I think when you see a lot of incentives, which, the Inflation Reduction Act kind of, I think, did a good job of making them make more sense and getting more middle-class people in there. We sold a lot of expensive cars to a lot of wealthy people originally with these programs. That got a lot more people to consider a new EV. And I think, again, that helped get them into the hands of people who are buying new. But with all the new automakers jumping in, the non-Teslas, all these traditional automakers jumping in, we're starting to flood the new car market, and that's going to start flooding the used car market, and they're just not appealing to used car buyers at the same level.
Well, also the inventory that's flooding into the used car market is from some of the rental services out there as well that had made large purchase orders for electric vehicles and then decided, okay, we need to actually slash the kind of amount or the proportion or percentage rather of those vehicles that we have in our fleet. And so that just puts even more inventory back into the used market there. So how has that also kind of been a weight on the matter of consumers who are looking at used vehicles and trying to make that decision between a standard combustion engine and an electric vehicle?
It's 100%, Brad. And not only are you throwing more vehicles into the supply of used EVs when you have Hertz and other rental car companies, pulling back dramatically on their numbers, but I think there's a psychological element here too, right? If you're a consumer and you're seeing headlines that says Hertz is largely ditching to a large extent a lot of their EV fleet, what's that make you think? What's going on? Why would Hertz want to get away from EVs like this? And I think that only compounds, again, consumer apprehension, especially price-sensitive used shoppers, for jumping into the EV market.
From what we've seen in the past, if there is a vehicle that we see, make its way into, or a type of vehicle that we see make its way into the used car atmosphere or sphere just in droves, like we're seeing in this case and like we've been discussing, what type of consumer sentiment impact does that typically have? And is it long lasting? Is it something that a company can recover from?
I think we're going to be on kind of an extended period of rebalancing supply and demand. I think we've hit a threshold. We did a study last year and it showed that at 7% market share in a given location, it's harder to get the EV market share to grow, the new car EV market share. And now we've hit 7% nationally, and we're starting to see these cars stack up at dealer lots. So we need a catalyst that changes what basically you're saying, the opinion of these EVs, whether it's price, whether it's range, whether it's charge time. To get to a wider audience, new and used, there's going to have to be a dramatic shift that pushes these past kind of the 7% demographic. It seems like wealthier multi-car families that have a house and can charge at home. We got to get past that group.